By the late 1980s, you've got something very disturbing happening in Kirtland, Ohio. You've got this man who has become a tour guide at an historic temple of the RLDS faith, and his message is slowly shifting. He's going from a teacher to a leader to a prophet, and the crazy part is people are starting to believe him. I'm Reagan Roy, and trust me, this gets worse. All right, so in 1987, Jeffrey Lundgren is fired as a tour guide at the Kirtland Temple after it was discovered that he had been stealing donations. A year after that, he publicly called the church corrupt, and he was fully removed. The moment that Jeff was excommunicated, it actually added fuel to his fire. So at first, Jeff is super bitter about being cast out by the church, but then he begins to eventually see it as an opportunity to preach his own version of the gospel. So after Jeff breaks the church, he led more than a dozen followers to this rented farm just outside of Kirtland, where these followers handed over their paychecks to Jeff. They worked from sunup to sundown, and they lived with Jeff and his wife Alice, who were not working. Oh no. They were studying and praying and leading. Okay, so by this point, the group is completely isolated. Emotionally, financially, physically. Jeff is no longer just their teacher. He is more of a conduit, a guide, a prophet, and prophets, obviously, in their eyes, are not to be questioned. So, if you can believe it, his teachings actually start to get darker, and he decides to plot a violent takeover of the Kirtland Temple that he would consider a, quote, cleansing. So a former follower of Jeff's was terrified, so they decided to warn police before the takeover could happen. That informant also told investigators that Jeff said that these people had to die because they had taken the Lord's temple and defiled it. So a Kirtland police detective launches an investigation, and officials said while they did believe that Jeff was a dangerous person, there was no substantial overt act, and law enforcement could not make any charges stick. Right, so you've got federal agents watching, you've got local police officers watching, and Jeff just keeps slipping away. He just keeps slipping through the cracks. So, but not even police, his followers, or his family could predict what he had in store. Okay, so by now, Jeffrey Lundgren had built this world where his voice was the only one that mattered, the only one that carried any weight, kind of like the Wizard of Oz, a world where faith had turned into fear, fear then morphs into obedience. But what is the full cost of that obedience? It wouldn't be discovered until months later, buried beneath a barn floor. So in our next and final episode, we will take a look back at the January 1990 tip that just blew the doors open. The investigation, the search, and the moment that detectives finally realized they weren't just dealing with some fringe preacher, that it was something way more dangerous. So make sure to like and subscribe to our channel to get notified when the next chapter drops. And don't forget to check out Bloodline and Blind Faith, Untold Stories from the Kirtland Cult Killings, premiering January 16th. In this documentary, we bring you exclusive interviews from inside the jail with Jeffrey Lundgren's son and his most loyal follower. Follow the link on your screen to learn how to watch. I'm Reagan Roy. We'll see you next time.